So this is going to be a video about how to get sub 20 with the Roux method. Now I'm making this on sub 20 because I think that everything up until sub 20, so sub 1, sub 40, sub 50, sub 30, you can get that basically by just doing solves and getting more familiar with the cube and the Roux method. But sub 20 is where people get stuck because that's where you've already gotten good enough that you have to start being efficient, you have to start looking ahead, things like that. So there are two aspects to improving your times, and this is something that I'm going to be using in a lot of my videos, this series, and another video that I have planned in the future. There are two aspects. They are TPS, which stands for turns per second, and move count. So these two aspects make up something called the solving time equation. So your solving time is equal to your move count divided by your TPS. So that means in order to decrease your solving time, you have to decrease your move count and increase your TPS. So before I start talking about these two aspects separately and breaking them down in the different steps, first I'd like to talk about color neutrality. Color neutrality is being able to solve or start with multiple first blocks instead of just doing the same one every time. And I think this is very important because it gives you multiple options. So if you're trying to get sub 20 and you aren't color neutral yet, and you only do one block, I recommend you switch to 8 blocks. So that means solving any block with white bottom or yellow bottom. So you can do this red one, the green one, orange one, blue one, or you can flip it this two with an X, this way with an X2 and do this, this. So that's 8 choices. Now, before we get into the actual steps of the solve, I want to talk about inspection. So let's leave this here for now and break this into half. And let's start with TPS. So first, inspection. So inspection, I've emphasized it a lot, but you want to plan out as much as you can. For sub 20, you want to be practicing with untimed inspection, so you can practice looking for as long as you want and tracking ahead as far as you want. And the other thing, you want to track the 2 by 2 by 1 square, and you want to find the last pair of your first block. So what I mean by that is, so we have this right here. I'll do orange. So, okay, so if you're trying to get sub 20, what you would do is you see this orange and this pair. So R wide, U wide prime B, you'd see that in inspection. But before you start the solve, you see, okay, this is the piece for the other pair, this is the piece for the other pair. Then you start the solve, and then you turn at a certain speed so that you can track these two and watch where they go. So then you have no pause. Then your block is fluid and you can turn much faster. So I started talking about TPS. I guess I'll continue with that. So there's inspection. Now getting into the actual step of the solve. So FB is the abbreviation for first block. What you want to do is, as I said, track the last pair while solving the first square. The other thing you want to do is develop different ways of doing certain finger tricks. So, advanced finger tricks. And what I mean by that is for like you want to be able to do it standard that way, this way in case your hand is like this and you can't really reach it, this way with your thumb, this, just anything, and then F prime and F, D D prime, B B prime, B B prime, B B prime, B B prime. So just experiment with that so that you don't have to regrip too much. For first block, that's pretty much it for increasing TPS. Second block, you want to look ahead from the first block. So I forget how this was. Doesn't really matter. I'll just set it up like this. So still same block. So as I'm solving this pair, I want to be looking for this edge. So I saw it there and it's here. Okay, now I start solving this. And after the R2, I saw this pair come up. Okay, I see this pair right here, so I'm going to follow that while I solve that pair. Okay, there they are. And join them up. And there. Okay, that's for second block. Look ahead. Also, you have to be familiar with cases. So what I mean by that is understand how to solve each case so you can do it fast and be able to do pairs blindfolded. So you don't have to stare at it the whole time. Moving on, we will... Oh yeah, one more thing. Do M or M prime only when you have to. So if you can replace an M or an M prime with an R wide or an R prime, then do an R wide or an R prime. R wide prime. Okay. And for second block look ahead, you can watch my video on the Roux tips and tricks playlist. That helps a lot in my opinion. Moving on, Cmll. So for this, what you want to do is practice recognition. So just recog. And for that, most of it comes just through solving. So you don't really need to think about that much, but make sure you can recognize your cases fast and drill your algs so you can execute them fast. Another thing is that you want to have different finger tricks for different moves, once again, because some algs require you to do different things. So for this one, easy, just J-perm. Okay, last step, LSE. So similar to second block, no cases by heart. So that's for edge orientation. So while I'm doing EO, I'm not thinking about EO, I'm just turning. Okay, here are LR edges. Same thing while I'm doing LR edges, I'm not thinking about LR edges, I'm thinking about 4C, and while I'm solving 4C. And then good finger tricks for LSE. So you want to have one hand doing M moves, so like this and like that, and then double flick M2s are important. And then you want to have the other hand, for me that's left, doing all the U moves, so U primes, U's, U2s, sometimes U2 like that. So you have to get good at that. And turning fast, obviously, you always want to be drilling EO algs, the 6-flip alg, ways to solve 4C, the dots case, this thing. Okay, now, so that's TPS done. Now we'll move on to move count on this side of the page. So first block, same abbreviations again. You want to have 10 moves on average. Right now you might not be that efficient, but to improve, you can watch example solves by me, Kevin Tangtar Theracool or Guru on YouTube, Alex Lau or 5Blind, Wafo, other Roux cubers you can find. You can do slow solves. So instead of trying to get sub-20 solves, you'll sit there and try to get solves that are sub-30, maybe sub-40, turn as slow as you want. Another thing you can do that I really like is Roux FMC. So just do a scramble and then play with it until you can find the most efficient block that you can. My pencil just ran out of lead, so I'm going to switch pencils. Anyways, I'll keep talking. Moving on to second block. Second block, you want to have an average move count of 17 moves. And same as above for improving, so example solves, slow solves, Roux FMC. Cmll, for these can't really be practiced because they're just algs for the move count, but for one look, if you learn from my algs, which you can find in the about page on my channel, one look should be about 10 moves on average. I calculated and mine were about 9.78, and two look is 23 moves on average. +1 or +2 depending on if you have AUF or not, but that's not that important. So for these, if you use 2-look and you're trying to get sub-20, you can get sub-20 with 2-look. I'm sub-9 with 2-look, but you can see how 13 moves is a lot, and learning 1-look can make it so much easier. So I highly recommend that. And lastly, last 6 edges. Just like second block, you want to have about 17 moves on average. And to improve that, same thing as above, example solves, slow solves, Roux FMC. You might want to start experimenting with more advanced things like influencing LR edges during edge orientation, stuff like that, and learn the efficient ways to solve EO. So efficient EO. I think EO is a step a lot of people do inefficiently, so check out Wafo's page on that. He has the most efficient ways to solve every edge orientation case. So now we have all these move counts and all this information for how to improve move counts and TPS for each step. But that doesn't tell us much, so we're going to go back to the solving equation, the solve time equation. So we want the time to equal 20, so we're going to have to do some math here. So 20 equals move count over TPS. That's an R. I want a T, a P. I mean, yeah. When I'm writing, there's no typos in writing. Anyways, for 1-look Cmll, so this box right here is 1-look. This is 2-look. So for 1-look, move count would be 10 plus 17 plus 10 plus 17. So that would just be 54, sub in with brackets, good math habits. Then you just isolate TPS, multiply that side, divide by 20, and you get TPS equals 2.7. Now you might be thinking about 2.7, that's very slow. That's like something like that maybe. And yes, as long as you're efficient, you can get sub-20 with that TPS. So 2.7 TPS, and using those move counts, your splits would be 4, 6, 4, 6. So that's 4-second first block, 6-second second block, 4-second CMLL, 6-second last 6 edges. For 2-look, same type of thing. We go over here. The move count this time would be 67. Just skip a step here. Divided by TPS. So then your TPS would have to be approximately 3.4. And this is also approximate. So then your splits for 2-look CMLL would have to be 3, 5, 7, 5. So you can see how learning 2-look and not learning 1-look forces your other steps to be faster. So I definitely recommend learning 1-look. So far, this video has been 13 minutes of just me talking and showing a few things on the cube, but I think this is really important. And after this, after sub-20, you should be able to identify which parts of your solve you need to improve, how to improve. So I think this is really useful. And once you figure out how to sort of coach yourself and tell yourself what to improve, you can just use this as a basis, do the same type thing, analyze your solves. But now for the rest of this video, we have 3 things. I'm going to critique a solve by someone that averages low 20, and I'm going to tell them what they need to improve on. So that's just an example showing common things people struggle with and how you can analyze your own solves. And the last 2 things, we will have a slow turning solve by me using 2-look CMLL and a slow turning solve by me using 1-look CMLL. So those will both be sub-20 solves, and that'll just show you how efficient you can be and how slowly you can turn. So in this part of the video, I'll just be doing 2 solves, 2 slow turning solves, one with 1-look CMLL, one with 2-look CMLL. So here we go. If you're wondering, this is my main Chi thunderclap. So we'll start inspection. And this is going to be with 2-look. And you can just see how slowly I can turn and still get sub-20, hopefully. There we go, it's a 17. And this one's going to be with one look. I was a little slower, but the scramble was harder, so you see how it wasn't turning very fast in both solves. I was actually turning slower in the two-look one because the first two blocks was really efficient, but even in the one-look solve, the Cmll was bad, the scramble was bad. Still, you saw I was turning that slowly and I got an 18. Be analyzing Isaac's solve. To the scramble right here, it'll be on the screen right now at the top. It starts with UB2, and in inspection, what I liked about Isaac's solve is that he used inspection well. He looked at multiple blocks. First, he was looking at this orange one with blue on bottom, I think, or red on bottom. I couldn't really tell. But then he finally settled on this one right here, red with green on bottom. So you see that this can be moved here. So what he did was D, just like that. And then that brought these pieces right here. So then paired them up in the back. So this pair, and then inserted with L prime UL. And then there was a pause. Now he planned this in inspection, which is good, but then he should have been looking ahead while solving this to the next pair. So after that, he did R wide 2, UM, so that's breaking up this pair, U2, M2, and then B solving that. I guess that's not horrible, but there are a few things he could have done more efficiently. What I would have done with that same block is du prime r prime u2, the same beginning, but instead of L prime ul, I would have done r wide prime f. And what that does is actually brings this pair here. So then I would go r prime u prime r wide, and then u2 r2 b prime, just like that. Anyways, moving on with what he did in the solve. For the second block, there was a little bit of a pause between first block and second block. So while solving this, he could have been looking ahead. So he did R2, U2, R2, and then U, R, U prime to solve this block right here, and then R2, and then this pair in the back was M prime U, M, U2, R, U prime, R prime. Now, I like that second block. After that initial pause before starting it, it was very fluid. I probably would have done something different though, so I'll show it on this cube. I would have just done U2 to pair this, R prime U2, and then that puts this pair in a nice position, just like that, and there it's inserted. So that would have been more efficient, but that block was still pretty good, executed quickly. So now Cmll, this is where things started to get sort of bad. So he did a U, U prime U, U2, so he recognized that it's the T case with these two matching. So U2, the algorithm he used was RU prime R2D, RY U2 R prime. Wait, I messed that up. RU2 R2D prime, RU2 R prime D, R2U R prime, like that. Now that's not a bad algorithm. I actually use the mirror of that from the front, U2A UFOA, but I just think that my algorithm that goes like this is a lot faster. Just like that. Now for the LSE, there were a couple things I noticed that were, I could be done more efficiently. So here we have the arrow and then this flipped edge. So U2 M prime to M prime, but that brings these both to the top. And then he actually ended up doing an M2. So I would have done something similar to that, except I would have done an M at the end to put that on the bottom. Then he did U prime, M prime, U2, M. And if you could see, this would be an easy case to solve. But he solved it like that. And then M2, U2, M, U2, M prime. And then that was the wrong AUF, so he had to do an M2. So what I would have done to avoid those little mistakes is U2, M prime, U, M. So that just cancels with the M prime, M2. And then instead of doing M prime, U2, M and inserting, I would go M, U2, M prime, just like that. That's a lot easier. And then we just get that, which is faster. Before we head out, there are a few quick things I want to mention about the solve itself. As you can see in the reconstruction, it was 60 STM. So somewhere along there, he needs to cut out 10 moves. So I would say you can cut maybe 3 or 4 moves from first block and about the same 5, maybe 6 moves from last 6 edges. And in brackets after the step, I wrote these splits. So first block 5, second block 6, CMLL 5, LSE 7. Now he's using one look CMLL. So he has to cut 1 second from first block, 1 second from CMLL, and 1 second from last 6 edges. And then he'll be well on his way to be sub-20. One more thing I forgot to mention is that this U prime U2 thing right here, that will be fixed quickly with practice and just getting more used to the algorithms. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching. In case you're wondering, all the cubes used in this video can be bought at speedcubeshop.com. Yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully this helped you if you're trying to get sub-20 through. But this video is not sub 20 minutes, so hopefully you watch the whole thing because I think it's really useful.